Hello, everybody. Welcome. Yours is psychic investigator. So, guys, it's late. It's 11:13 p.m. today on Tuesday, January 20th. But a lot of issues have been raised because of Trump's bizarre behavior. Not, I wouldn't call it bizarre, but bizarre is a mask for what is a very controlled and targeted set of goals, right? Um, he is doing the bidding of Putin, and so it is what it is, right? Now, there's several questions about NATO, and I talked about in the last video about Trump going to is that right? The Davos meeting, and then this meeting doesn't. There's a Hague meeting, is that right? That he was going, or he's going. I just got the comments that he's making about Greenland and the fact that he made public the texts by the native head. So let's get into it. Okay, so I'd like to ask for protection. A beautiful ray of light coming on top of my head as I breathe in. I feel my lungs as I breathe out. I create a circle. I step into it. I feel protected. I feel connected. I like to ask that information come only from the highest sources. That I create the good, the good, and so it is. So let's get started now. Let's see. Here, I took the screenshots. Where is the screenshot? Okay, so the first one is NATO Chief Mark Rutte praises Donald Trump for making Europe pay in a big way. US President releases flattering message that also hails truly extraordinary Iran strikes. So let's look into it. And so these are the texts that Mark Rutte sent to Trump. Mr. President, dear Donald, congratulations and thank you for your decisive action in Iran. That was truly extraordinary, something no one else would dare to do. It makes us all safer. You are flying into another big success in The Hague this evening. It was not easy, but we've got them all signed onto 5%. Donald, you have driven us to a really, really important moment for America and Europe and the world. You will achieve something no one American president in decades could get done. Europe is going to pay in a big way, as they should, and it will be your win. Safe travels, and see what His Majesty's dinner at Mark Rutte. So this is the actual texts that were confirmed by NATO to be from Rutte. Now, in defense, I'm not saying that I'm obviously not like on his side or anything. Rutte, this is how you deal with somebody like Trump with that ego that he has. This is a correct way. Flattery, right? This is what he's done. But this may have worked in the past, or they may have worked with different people, but it does not work right now because clearly he's doing whatever he wants, right? So, um, so, so that's the situation that we're dealing with. Okay, here that it's not working. I mean, it worked. He was able to, whenever he met with Trump, he was able to make Trump turn to do whatever he wanted, not whatever he wanted, but to kind of get Trump closer to the NATO position. Well, we have seen two things. One is that Trump, like he can't stop Trump, and two, that are still there, right? So it's a problem. It's a problem for sure. And so, okay, now let's go to the deep dive questions. Does does Rutte know his Trump flattery efforts have failed? Let me do one question at a time. So, does he know? Yeah, so I see that he's like, yes, he knows. Finally knows. And I'm getting that, yes, he made in the past, he was able to prevent Trump from doing from sort of like going into specific roads and into specific directions. But now it's about the big game. And he has not been able to stop Trump from attacking Europe, basically. And he sees that Vance is closer to getting power. And he knows that there's no hope for those types, that those people he cannot work with, the Vances of the world. Okay. So, okay. So now that he seems to understand finally, it is not working. Okay. It's saying he's also afraid of the U.S., of having the U.S. leave NATO. He's afraid of that. Okay. So, and that's what he's trying to avoid. Maybe, you know what? I didn't ask this question here. Okay, let me ask this question because I'm doing the subtitles. No, the same, not subtitles. The will the USA leave NATO in 2026? I'm just, because this is okay, because this is really the core here, right? Okay, so will the US leave NATO in 2026? It's a really interesting image I got. So I see Trump like moving kind of to pull out. And then I see that as he's standing there with his suit and his black shoes, they fasten these almost like iron things onto his feet. And then he's like there's like iron things onto his arm and he's like attached. He can't move, he can't do anything. And so he's prevented from doing that. So he will, what the vision suggests here is that he will, in fact, go all the way to try to do what he can, but he's going to be stopped. Because, and I also get that the military here and the military there, they see what this is. This is an attempt to weaken, not attempt. I don't know, is it an attempt? When it gets that far, it's not even an attempt, right? It's an act to weaken the US in the world stage. Driven, it's saying that, and I see that they have the recording. They know that he's being directed by other countries. And so, in a way, he's a puppet, right? He knows. We know that it would be different maybe if there was no foreign intervention with him. If it was just, oh, he just one day woke up and had a thought, but it wasn't, right? So they know that this is he's working against the interests of the U.S. The military knows that really well, and when I see there's this collective push to strap him and prevent him from doing it, so we don't do it because he's stopped essentially. Okay, I'm gonna ask another question, but what about Vance? Is Vance, and I preface this by saying that I don't see Vance taking over, but it's important that I ask questions in any way just to get more information. So is Vance gonna? And I see that it's interesting as Trump is trying to, no, they stop Trump, and he's like, oh yeah, we're gonna do it. Oh yeah, don't worry about it. But then he's like high fiving Peter Thiel and all these people. It's gonna happen. Don't worry, don't worry. And then when his time comes to take over the presidency, it doesn't happen. So again, but they say they were so stupid. They were caught celebrating. They were caught talking about all of this. So, okay, so that's the story. Interesting informations. Interesting informations. Interesting informations. No. So, yeah, yeah. Okay. But now let's go to the other questions I had written out. Why does Rutte hesitate to attack Russia, or at least to defend NATO from Russian attacks? I see that he's using his arm like pushing away, pushing away. Oh no, push it away, push it away, push it away. And that he, in his mind, he thinks that if it's like inside, because he thinks it's all external. If it gets to the core, an attack would be like inside. So he thinks that would be boom, a huge boom. And that's what he does not want. He actually believes and guys, I think I find bizarre. I don't understand is why they don't do something because they seem to fear. And he has them. I see that he does feel like that. He does not want, oh no, it would try to, be not exactly friends, but sort of like, oh, just push it away as if it's a mosquito. It's not a mosquito. It's it's a whole lion, whatever, bear, whatever, at this point. It's a terrorist nation, okay? So, right, okay. So that's the reason. And even guys, and by the way, I need to make a video about this. Did you see the thing that happened in Spain? I it There's a lot of similarities between what happened in Spain and Poland. So I'm gonna have to make a video about this. But yet another thing situation where it looks like it all is involved, right? So let's look at this. So now the next part of the question is will Rutte change his mind and do something? Okay, so will Rutte change his mind and do something? What if anything will NATO do about Trump? So he's changed his mind and do something. Yeah, no, I see. This is a weird thing. Is that it's almost like the NATO is like this. It's like this very expensive luxury arms game that they have all these weapons and they don't use it, but they have a lot of exercises. And they're permanently ready for action. And I see that he surrounds Greenland with all these ships. And in fact, they are ready for action. And I do feel like, wow, that the US will come and try to do whatever it is they want to do, that trash wants to do. Even if it's like, they will use it as an excuse, they will do something that feels like an attack. And he will be rebuffed and he will be shot at, honestly. Because he thinks that is the line he's saying he was going to communicate to Donald what the line is. I feel like he's also getting yelled at from all kinds of countries, including NATO itself. He's like, but I'm trying to do it the diplomatic way. Okay. So, and I see again that they show him, there's the pictures of trash with girls and all the stuff that isn't well known at this point. And they're saying this is how he's controlled by those countries. This is how this is the only thing that works with him, not diplomacy, compromise. So I just feel like, yes, it's the push towards the end. Now, the other thing I'm seeing that seems very complicated but makes sense is that JD Vance knows that this is happening. And Peter Thiel knows that too. And they feel like this is the moment to get him out, to say, oh, he's crazy, he's this, he's that. And they're taking advantage of that moment to take over power. And both things are going to backfire. The sense that whatever trash he wants to do in Greenland and the whole Vance thing. Okay, so when he says it's going to happen quickly, tells me before I get back to the U.S. I see big humiliating lesson. I see this headline: big humiliating lesson for Trump. And I see that saying NATO finally learns this lesson and goes in the attack. Like it prevents something from happening. Like we're really, really preventing. Not like, oh, hello, Donald, you're so great. So it's saying Trump he's very, very arrogant, but it's not looking good for him. That's what I'm getting. So I guess the last question here, the last direct question is, will NATO prevent whatever Trump's plans are for Greenland? It's saying as NATO and saying Denmark, because I see that Denmark may have a disagreement with NATO in the sense that, like, you know what, bitch, this is our territory. We're not gonna sit around and wait for you all to like get it together. We don't play the game that you're playing. It, it's our territory and this is serious violation. So they may do something themselves as well. And I see actually that Putin's like, oh, didn't fall for our bluff, huh? So finally, all they guys, this game has been played before in Turkey. The Turkey won. Turkey shot back the plane, and there was never again an incident. That's how you deal with these people. So, okay, all right. So this is it for now. I had many questions. Okay, all right. Okay. Oh, I know. I always have a question. So what's going to happen to Rutte? Is it going to be there until the end of the year, 2026? Yeah, I see that he almost it was close to getting a vote of no confidence, but then he turns things around, and finally, you're like, wow, finally he's done something. I say people are finally proud of him. He was about to get. Is there again? There was a vote of no confidence on him that they were close to because the people, countries, and the NATO internally was exasperated. So okay, all right, all right. So oh, another thing I wanted to just show you. It's this news because I went on the Financial Times because as you know my channel is about looking at the news from the intuitive perspective, but I do like to come from the news. So it's saying here U.S. to remove 200 NATO military personnel from duty. Reduction has been planned for months but comes amid tension with European nations over Greenland. So it's a coincidence, no? So is there more? I see that again. Trump is stopped. He wants to go all the way, right? But he is stopped. That's what I feel. So it goes back to what I had said a little while before. Okay? All right. So thank you for watching. Have a good night. Bye-bye.